Welcome back to GearWire.com. I'm Bill Holland, and I'm here with Britton Weatherall.
Hey.
And Henry Bianco. Henry, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I am a Virgo. I'm 23 years old. I've been playing guitar for about 12 years now, touring the country for a few of those, and I'm happy to be here.
Nice. All right, well, let's move on to site news. In site news this week, we have the robot guitar from Gibson, which is a device that essentially has a computer built in that allows you to tune on the fly, whether you want to do open tuning or just tune your guitar instead of having to do it manually. It goes for a pretty hefty price tag of about $2,500. But let me ask you something, Britton. Is it worth it?
Is it $2,500 or $25,000?
It was $2,500.
Are you serious? Only 25? I think it's a stupid idea, but that's just me.
So you think 25,000 would be better?
No, I think it's just stupid, period. I don't want, I mean, like, I like having my guitar, like, at least, there's some ideology of, like, sweetened tunings, like, intervals and, like, harmonics and stuff like that phase with each other. So when your guitar naturally goes out of tune, sometimes it goes out of tune and sounds better than a strict pitch, especially when your bass player doesn't have a robot bass, all right? And, all these other factors that you have to take in, a robot guitar just sounds like a dumb idea. And who's freaking too lazy to, like, tune their own goddamn guitar?
Well, I would tend to agree with you, but, I mean, listening to this new crop of musicians that seem like they're popping up these days, like, a lot of the kids aren't learning how to tune their guitar, so maybe it'll be better for all of our ears if they just have a robot tuning it for them, especially with intonation. Most people really don't even know how to intonate their guitar, and the robot guitar really just visually shows you how to do it.
I don't know, man. I think that's just retarded.
Although then again, I mean, if you're in a band where you don't know how to tune your guitar, you're not going to be able to afford the robot guitar anyway because it's $2,500.
Right. To me, it seems like the sort of thing that it's a really cool technology, but probably will be better suited once Squier can get it cheap enough on their guitars.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. If you get it for like $400, $500, then yeah, it makes sense. But
I don't know. It just seems like the advent of making people just stupider and lazier. I mean, like, what about alternate tunings? I mean, because you don't have just standards and then drop standards and opens. You also have people who want to tune in A, people who want to tune in, like, other tunings. You know what I mean? Like, I know guys who actually take their two high strings, which is normally known as the B and the E string, and tune them to the same note to create a phasing effect, or a coursing effect, excuse me. So I think, like, honestly, this guitar is only applicable towards, like, super rock musicians who are extremely, like, lazy. I mean, it's just like only lazy people wouldn't tune their guitar and want an excuse not to, and only people who are so only interested in, like, strumming power chords and not interested in knowing your instrument wouldn't know how to intonate it. I mean, like,
right. Well, and again, I mean, this would be great if it were offered as a cheap alternative for kids. So, like, you're starting a band, you want a guitar, you don't know how to tune your guitar.
It's not even great.
I know it's against the principle. I know that.
Everything away from playing.
I agree.
I'm sure a lot of people said the same thing when MIDI was invented too, man. And you use that. I use it. Everybody uses it.
No, see, like, saying that MIDI is actually not a lazy device because it's actually just a protocol. It's a protocol to recall sequences. You still have to play this out. You still have to have some degree of
the Gibson
knowledge.
robot guitar doesn't play itself, in all fairness.
Yeah, but it tunes itself, and that just makes people. It makes people like basically, that perception that Americans are just fat and stupid.
Yeah.
Thanks for reinforcing that, Gibson. That's fucking excellent. You get a fucking prize. I mean, it's stupid.
All right. Well, moving on. Reason 4. We've been looking at this up on our site this week. We took a look at the arpeggiator, the Thor synthesizer. You guys have played around with this a little bit. Henry, you have a copy of this, right?
I've got 4. Mm-hmm.
What do you think of Thor and the arpeggiator? I haven't really played.
I haven't really gotten into the arpeggiator yet, but I think Thor is way badass. The modular aspect of it, of being able to put in the different oscillators and things, is really cool and pretty endless. Especially combined with the combinator. I like it a lot so far, actually, and I really like the improved sequencer. I think it's the way that they have the tracks all combined.
The way you can drag the tracks is great.
Yeah.
Drawing envelopes, all that stuff is so much easier now.
Way easier.
It's a lot more like an actual DAW in the way you control it, minus the fact that you can't put audio in it. Yeah. But, yeah.
I'm still stuck in the Stone Ages, actually.
Reason 1?
Yeah, actually, I took... No, I mean, like, I got Reason
I have a legal copy of Reason 1 from, like, way back.
See, I have 2.5 still, and I'm like, I was like, dude, I'm going to totally, like, load this on my computer because, I got the benefit of working here sometimes. And I went to go to my computer, and I realized that I don't have a DVD-ROM.
Are you serious?
No, I'm dead serious, dude. I'm just like...
Go out and get one at Micro Center, like $20.
Dude, it's a P3. I don't even think I can run Reason 4 on there. You know what I
Like
mean?
a PlayStation 3?
No, like
A Pentium
3. Yeah.
Wow.
So this
Yeah.
is we're talking. I'm poor.
I feel like we should have a party for you and have a little
I can't
fundraiser.
I can't even afford the OR. I'm po. All right,
Wow.
but yeah, so I'm excited. I looked at the screenshots. I've seen the demos. They look really awesome. It looks like a good next level towards electronic musicianship. My roommate has a modular synthesizer. His critiques are a little bit more harsh because he's actually used
what's using, like a Doper or
yeah, Dope. He's got two
Yeah,
keyboard
those things are
cases,
awesome,
and
man.
he's got some good gear. And he says, his view on Reason is kind of jaded because he uses Logic and whatnot.
Right.
And so he's disinterested. I'm interested because it's just an easy tool for me to sketch down electronic ideas.
It's good to use with like Ableton or Logic.
I
though.
do use
As
it with
VST, I
Ableton.
use it with Live every
great.
day.
Yeah, Live is like using it with Live is just like it's kind of like.
It's kind of a powerhouse, really,
Yeah,
because then you have
totally.
everything you need. So
And then you can do remixes on the fly and then add things that like synth
Yeah.
elements on the fly, and on top of it you get all crazy. And now I'm just rambling.
all right.
Awesome.
Well, then we're going to move on to the next segment of the show. We're going to go over to J. Irving-Giles' house. We're going to take a look at his new DigiTech Vocalist 4 and see if that can actually do something for us or if we think we should save our money. I'm Bill Holland for GearWire.com, and this has been Crosstalk.
This guitar is playing bad.
Okay.
Jesus is crying. Cause it's making me quite mad.
Sometimes I feel like I am stuck behind the wheel of possibility, however it may roam. Give it a spin, see if you can somehow factor in. You know there's always more than one way to say exactly what you need to say. Was I out of my head? Was I out of my
Hey, Jay, what's going on, man? What do you got there?
How's it going, guys?
You heard you got the Vocalist 4, right?
Yeah, the Vocalist Live 4. It's brand new.
What was that song you were just playing, man?
Oh man, that was fastball.
Oh,
out
that
of
was
my head.
pretty
My
intense.
favorite.
I was
Yeah.
about to say, man, you just went down to Mantown and
Yeah, I'm
stuck down the
practicing. I
manhole.
got a big gig coming up. Gonna be playing at the Borders Open Mic Night on the 23rd. Everybody, so everybody come out,
Which
and I'll
Borders?
have this. The local Borders, all of them.
you mean the Borders in Man-on-Man Actionville?
I don't know where that one is, Britton, but
It's down on
Anyway.
Halstead. You take a
Just
left.
get his card before.
anyway, I'm gonna be bringing this Vocalist Live 4 with me, and ever since I got it, I couldn't take it off my table.
Yeah, let's take a
my
look
house.
at it, man. Oh, damn, I can't
Away
get it off
from
your
you,
table.
In fact,
No. Yeah, check that out. It's pretty cool. It's got effects, harmonies, but is it actually worth having? I mean, what would I use this for?
Well, I think so, but that's because I'm just a singer-songwriter who performs at many open mic nights around town. It depends on what you want to use it for.
could you use it for praise song applications?
Oh, you definitely could. I mean, there's lots of great patches on here. An
Let's check out.
alternative gospel patch that's really good.
For
So,
all those Jesus loving needs?
let me find that one for you.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is
There-
the alternative gospel.
It's alternative gospel. All right, let's hear it.
Why don't we turn it on? And this is Johnny Cash covering Nine Inch Nails, covered by me.
Ooh.
I hurt myself today to see if I still feel. I focus on the pain, the only thing that's real.
That was beautiful.
That was tender.
I try to do the original justice and then the original cover justice. Thank you. But
Is that a hit at open mic night?
oh, it's a big hit. Everyone loves it. A lot of people come up, talk to me after the set.
I mean, what would somebody use this for ideally besides open mic night at the coffee house? I mean, can I take this on tour? What do I do with it?
Well, I suppose you could take it on tour. Basically, if you're one person singing, you don't have anybody that can do backup vocals.
And you want to do fastball covers?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Let's
Fun,
hear another
then
patch. Let's hear some of the
pro-quality, I'd
crazy
say.
stuff. Yeah. You can't always have Kansas. I'm sorry. I know you love Kansas.
Let's do the eaglets.
Eaglets? All right, let's try the eaglets.
Yeah.
Sounds like with this one, it's just kind of a dropped harmony there. Did you just turn the Muse IQ off?
No, it's on now.
Ah, well, anyway, what that is, the Muse IQ, that analyzes the guitar chords you're playing and puts out a harmony that should sound good with the chord you're playing.
How effective is that?
It's pretty effective. It makes it really easy to use right out of the box. If you want to get more in depth, you can turn that off, select major or minor, any really exotic scale too. They have those all on here in the patch edit section. Allows you to customize your presets, pick how many steps up or down you want the harmony to just function at. Gives you up to 4 different harmonies you can use on one patch. So
Awesome. Well, here's one thing we should do. Why don't you sing, start playing a song, and Britton, I want you to scroll through there and see what patches you can come up with. And then we'll have you do your finale that you talked to me about.
So we're gonna look at the Muse. Are we gonna start with the Muse IQ on?
Yeah, let's start with the Muse IQ on. Let's see what that sounds like. So it's on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So play.
vacate is the word. Vengeance has no place so near the herd.
So you're taking out the vocal. You're
Yeah.
taking it out right now.
Taking
bringing
out the
harmonies up.
vocals right now, just to kind of hear the wet signal. I'm interested.
Truant finds home.
It should be noted that you can bring down the guitar as well.
Yeah,
you can
I mean,
pull
like,
that out
you
of the mix.
Trapdoor in the sun.
You can turn both of them up so you can have like the
Oh yeah,
equal sort
yeah,
of
no, that's
thing.
cool. All right, so we have an eaglets right now. Let's take a look at some of the other presets real quick. So we scroll through. Let's see what 3-up is.
3-up is a pretty simple one. As you can hear right now, it's taking it 3 steps up from just my normal voice. So, let's go for something 90s.
You like that, don't you?
I do. It's the best decade ever for open mic night songs. I know you hate me, but let's get anyway. Won't you come with me to a place in a little town? Only way to get there is to go straight down.
Okay, so what else is really cool on here? I mean, I saw there were a lot
I
of.
was actually messing around with
I heard that,
the
yeah.
voicing and the bounce and the variation of this thing. And then there's like guys. There's one called Drunk.
Drunk?
Yeah.
Let's hear that.
Yeah, let's see how this sounds.
Well, I think we just answered that question.
There's a Be Friends patch too.
Wow.
This one is really for
Like, why can't we be friends?
one of my
Yeah.
friends who is no longer with us.
Drew Craig?
With you guys.
Yeah, he died in a fatal
Explosion? Yeah.
Can't believe
I
there's a
heard about
purple rain
that.
patch.
Yeah, it was he blew up from the inside.
Now, everybody, this is a song I wrote from my now departed and dear friend, Drew Craig. Came out to support me most of the open mic nights I played. He wasn't at the last one, but we can forgive him for that. He spontaneously exploded in a tragic accident earlier, and I wrote this song for him, so I'm going to play it. spontaneous explosion. Dust in the wind. Now Drew Crag is dust in the wind. Same old song. Home studio workshops introduction theme. Kids be warm. From math lab in Bruce basement blue to smithereens. Dust in the wind. Now Drew Crag is dust in the wind.
Harmonizer, harmonizer, I'm so sad. Oh, I'm so sad.
Give me an alternative gospel. We need alternative gospel. That's the patch.
Oh, fantasy baseball. Put your hands together for fantasy baseball.
I'm Bill Holland for GearWire.com, and we're back with Crosstalk. As you remember from last time, we went to J. Irving-Giles' house, and we checked out the Vocalist Live 4. What did we
stole
think?
it from
you.
him.
You had a lot of fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really entertaining. I don't know if I could actually use it for any other purpose than laughing my ass off on a constant basis.
It's a good party toy.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I have my reservations about DigiTech. I personally think that the best thing that they made, and probably the only thing I'll actually buy, is the DigiTech whammy. Yeah, that's probably it. And this is not so far off of the whammy that like it's like a harmonizer for your voice
Right.
instead of like your
Guitar.
guitar.
It
But-
seemed like the sort of thing that, yeah, it's kind of cheesy and a lot of the presets were pretty unusable, but
They have one
I
called
think
the Eaglets.
the Eaglets. I think I don't know, if you sat down with it for a long time and you were like a singer-songwriter type guy, I think you might be able to. I mean, maybe you should go out and try to make some friends to like get some actual background singers. But I mean, short of that, if you have a really terrible personality, this could be a really good thing for you.
I don't know, because most of like the singer-songwriter people, like when they have really pretty voices, I kind of want to hit them in the face. That's just a personal aesthetic issue. But like other guys who like do the singer-songwriter thing sound like Bob Dylan, which is like atonal as shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I want some down.
That thing's not gonna be able to do that.
That's
no,
not gonna help.
that's not gonna.
That's
The
not gonna
auto
help.
tune will kick in and you'll sound like a robot,
Dude, this is not Jesus. It's not gonna save you.
or so we think. No, I mean, it seems like to me. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like, I mean, look at the picture on the box here. We've got happy singer-songwriter girl. She's playing at her local coffee house, and
She's definitely not getting laid.
she wants to have some backup singers. So I mean, I think it's good for like, you're a basic musician. You're like, you want to play out like a coffee house, but you want to add a bigger sound to your vocals. Maybe some backing
Fuck would
harmonies.
you do that?
I don't know. I'm just saying that could be why you use it for. I mean, I don't think you'd want to use this. I mean, if you're touring, I don't see why you would use this. I don't know what you would use it for because
There's a better one on the market. This is a great one for poor people, because we're all poor.
hide the product placement.
But there's the TC Helicon Live, and I saw a lady who used that.
Those are really cool.
Those are really cool.
Oh my God, those things are awesome. It's not like auto-tune, pitch correction kind of stuff. It's like they really do like
Yeah.
harmonies and like
Well, it's-
really good sounding harmonies. Like we were fucking around with this thing.
It's
and,
kind of muddy. I noticed.
Yeah,
on a few of them.
I mean, I guess it could screw around with it.
I'm sure that you could get a good sound out of it if you wanted to, and I'm sure that you could probably do something different with it if you wanted to. But honestly, I mean, I don't know. I've gotten similar sounds out of software.
Oh, and
That's way cheaper.
way
Like the
cheaper.
Antares stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I've gotten better sounds out
They
of
just
that.
put out 5, right? They just put
I believe so.
I
Yeah.
really hate auto-tune, and I think we all hate auto-tune.
Well, you don't like Cher?
I don't like Cher. I didn't like Cher when she was like, oh, natural Cher, not freaky goth Cher or 80s Cher.
I don't remember the Freaky Goss share. That sounds like at least that would be more interesting.
Sounds like a
than-
Halloween costume or something.
No,
I
isn't
think
she
that
like
never
always
happened.
dressed in? Oh, I'm thinking about Elvira. Both of them have been around forever, and they'll probably like melt into dust at any point in time.
Or
Well,
silicone.
you know, for people who aren't familiar with autotune and what it sounds like, what does it sound like? I'm listening to an album and
We talked about that Cher song. Do you believe?
that's a really obvious. I mean, but let's think of something where it's less obvious. Something
I mean, any sort of boy band group or
right.
every Britney Spears song to date, you know, they all use auto-tune pitch correction. It's it's like a slight warble, like, you know, when something. And
Yeah.
this was my same critique of the robot guitar and my same, like, any sort of like
USB guitar.
USB guitar, any correcting software. It kind of messes up the chain of command, because some guy who's gonna play like a certain note and something on an acoustic guitar and then wants to pitch correct his voice, it's not going to sound right, because A440 in guitars is A440, and your guitar is not playing A440. It's
Right.
playing like A at
438.
Yeah, 438.
Well, and it
or
encourages people not to
441.
be at their peak and not to perform at the best of their abilities.
Well,
I mean,
nothing is
Sometimes, I mean, if
perfect.
you're strapped for time in a studio and like, you know, you're not on a huge budget, sometimes you need to do that sort of stuff.
well, I mean,
but-
I'm not going to say I've never used autotune.
Yeah.
I've used it a lot of times on singers. I mean, they'll come in and you'll have like one word that you'll be like, crap.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, if you're a bad singer, you're a bad singer.
See, I
It's
had to
gonna
use
show.
autotune once, and this is where I swore it off. Like, I would never, like, I had this ex-boy band guy that I was doing spec work in for LA, and he like was signed to Maverick at one point in time, but then they dropped his group. It was really like fall from the throes of fame sort of thing. It was,
Whoa.
it was really awesome.
Kevin Federline type stuff.
Yeah, like basically
Okay.
on that same level, but wanted to be the next Justin Timberlake. And so like this dude comes into my like studio, and like he's pissed drunk and he can't keep key at all. And he's just like, I'm like, dude, you got to sing in key. And he's like, no. I was like, fuck, I got to use autotune. And this is like the one time that I used autotune, and it took me so long to correct his like bad vocal takes, because he was sipping on like some OE and just like, you know, like getting toe up like homeless man style, that I was just like, whoa. And then I did it, and he was like, thanks, dude. And I was like, all right, sell the track so you can give me some money. And he just like never did. Anyways, that's why I think autotune's the devil.
All right.
Because it doesn't do anything but make my life a living hell and make it sound bad. It just sounds like poo in a bucket.
It's a pretty bad sound. I haven't heard that lately, but you know.
It's that squishy sound.
I think we're
along
reviewing
with
it
the
next
plastic.
Can I get that on
hitting.
YouTube? I mean, can I look up a clip of that on YouTube? We're going to be back in a little bit with our viewer mail on Crosstalk. I'm Bill Holland. This is GearWire.com.
You ain't got to be rich to rule my
Okay, yeah. That's good. Yeah, great. Start off with fastball, and when it hits the part that we all laughed our asses off about, then Britton will start walking in.
Yes. Sometimes I feel like I am stuck behind the wheel of possibility, however it may roam.
All right, this is the final installment in the latest episode of Crosstalk. I'm back with Britton and Henry.
Hey.
And we got some viewer mail this week, so we're going to go ahead and then get some viewer mail. Britton,
Viewer
with
mail.
the viewer mail song, please.
I don't have a viewer. Oh, let's find out.
Is this a good tat?
You've got questions and concerns, and you have some pee that burns. Viewer mail, viewer mail, viewer mail.
Thank you, Britton. We have mail from Jay, who writes us regarding his interface. He says, I have a question for Crosstalk Cast that I'm hoping to get an answer to. I currently own a PreSonus Fire Studio that I run to my Mac Pro as a recording interface. At the moment, I own a Shure SM7, not 57, because of the type of vocals I record, more aggressive stuff. But I'm finding it hard to get the amount of gain I need to really make the vocals stick out in the mix. My budget is about $500, give or take 50. Is it really a new mic that I should be looking for? And he, in parentheses, says condenser. Or should I be more concerned with getting a really nice mic pre instead? FMR, RNP, True P Solo. Either way, what do you suggest? Thanks in advance for your feedback. Jay. Well, Jay, what do you guys think? I think we talked about this for a little bit.
See, the problem is not your actual, like, your mic or the preamp section. It's about, like, there's a certain amount of gain that you're going to max out before overloading your preamps on any sort of thing. And that is in ratio to, like, you having to actually mix. Like, you know, a guitar in a mix is always going to be louder than your vocals if you set them, perceivably, because there's more noise and frequency spectrum that you're dealing with.
Right.
Especially when you're, like, in the middle of, like, thrashcore and you're like, woof. You know, like, and you need to get,
I think
like...
that was gore grind, actually. But
Gore grind?
Gore grind.
Woof. Anyways, so, like, in that sort of certain case, like, you have to remember that you're going to bring down the level on everything else.
Right.
And push your vocals up, and then you're going to compress everything, like, on the end of your master compressor to smash it all together and make it seem like everything's perceivably loud overall. That has nothing to do with gain. Now, if you wanted to spend your money on a preamp, there's tons of great preamps that you can buy, but is it really necessary? I doubt it.
I think I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but that's more for a situation of like a real studio. Whereas with a lot of these interfaces, they do have kind of quiet preamps, at least from my experience, and sometimes you do need an external preamp. I mean, just to get the decibels up there. I do agree with the mixing, and when it comes down to getting your levels and then boosting them all up with compression and equalizing and mastering.
Especially, I mean, if you're talking like the lower end, although he is using a Fire Studio.
Fire
See,
Studio
I've done a whole album on a Fire Studio with, like, in like 2 days. Like, it's one of these speed recording sort of things, like where you gotta, you're gonna record a folk album and you just do it as fast as humanly possible.
Right.
And so, like, I didn't have any problem with the gain preamps. I mean, like, it's like one of those things that I'm, like, kind of like in awe. Like, you would need to buy a preamp for like a dynamic microphone that you're only going to be screaming into, essentially. You know what I mean?
Well, Shure even says it on their website that sometimes a lot of their dynamic mics are going to be a little quieter with interfaces like that, and you might need to get a separate preamp.
I don't know. I really don't see that as a huge issue as much as, like, the mixing. Because even if you're at, like, like minus 20, you know what I mean? You have enough level to actually push it. Because, like, what you can do is normalize the signal. You can bring it up.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of processing that would save you that money, and you can go dump it in buying, like, a pair of Mackies or some really nice monitors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or, like, getting a really good compressor or a really awesome limiter. Like, that money can be saved and put more towards a better thing. Because the only preamps that I would actually say are going to make a difference are not, like, these $500 preamps. I'm talking about, you need to go out and get some API or Neve shit.
Or an Avalon or something.
Yeah,
right.
Stay away from the. I have such a huge problem with that process.
I'm sorry I said anything.
No, it's just
keep
like
my mouth shut.
Dude, it's great for, like, pseudo gospel bass. I mean, like, that's the only thing that I've found that I've heard that I actually like it on. Maybe R&B vocals, but, like, it's not the end all be all. I think it's like, honestly, I consider it like a $700 or $800 piece of equipment, not $1,000. Its range of use is very limited. For you want Neve, man. You want coloration. You want balls. You want grit. Get a Neve preamp if you really need to spend that money, but you're looking at, like, at least $700 to $800.
Yeah.
Okay, well, his budget is $500, so what would you recommend?
New monitors. Get a better mix.
Cool. Well, let's move on. The next mail's pretty long, so let's take a look at it. This is from Rich, and he says, peace to us. Here are 2 questions which you might not hear often, but I bet a lot of people could benefit from knowing about. Okay, number 1. When I'm recording an electric guitar direct to my mixer audio interface, which is a Tascam FW1082, the raw tone I get is not great. The input has a switch for high Z, which I have engaged. That's supposed to cover my impedance matching, correct? Well, it doesn't seem like it. Compared to the higher quality recordings I've heard from the guitar recorded direct to mixer, my recordings sound like they are missing a bit of the high end. In other words, they are somewhat lifeless and dull. I'm getting good, strong levels, so that's not an issue. What's missing? Do I need a DI box to get a nice tone for my guitar? If so, please recommend a few. Otherwise, how can I get the best sound when recording electric guitar direct?
An interesting situation. I never really would recommend recording guitar direct like that unless A, you're going to be reamping.
Right.
or B, you're going to be using some sort of software. You know, I'm sure we could talk for hours about the ins and outs and pitfalls of guitar software, but I mean, you're just when you're recording direct to the board like that, all you're getting is your magnetic pickup. I mean, when he was talking about the high Z, we don't know what kind of pickups his guitar has, so we don't know if they're active or passive. We don't know which one he's supposed to be matching to.
High Z, let's kind of define the term. It's a high impedance.
Yeah.
Most line level is at a lower impedance. That's why it's called high impedance. Guitar high, line level, keyboard low. And then you have, you know, even lower impedance for your microphone, way low. And then your signal to noise ratio, it differs between all three of those impedance levels.
Right.
All right, and where it operates in the spectrum of what line level is concerned, which is supposed to be like 0. All right. We can address that another day. That's just kind of a brief overview of what you got to take into account. The reason why your guitar sounds, quote unquote, are lacking highs is that, like, the when you go direct into it, your magnetic pickups don't pick up high strings as loudly as low strings because of the mass. It's just solid mass movement.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so you have to deal with that. What you
and
do
it also depends on how high he's got his pickup adjusted. And
yeah, you can like
'cause
angle it.
You're usually supposed to have the lighter strings. The pickup is supposed to be closer to those because the vibrations are less. It's harder for them to pick it up.
Yeah, I mean, but that's like, those are a whole bunch of factors, but that's not going to save the mix thing. Is that you're going to have to, like, let's say you want a clean tone, just bust out the EQ, man. Just cue it, gain it, get done with it. I would say, like, if you're trying to, like, get some distortion and all that other stuff, my first inclination is to reamp. If you really got to use a modeler, go ahead, but I'll make fun of you.
Okay, I mean, I recorded using a modeler through our Sapphire interface last
I'm
week.
going to make fun of you.
I know you are. Okay, but I mean, it was a matter of necessity. The guy came over. He just got like done touring with the circus, so like all of his crap's in storage. And so we're like, okay, bring your guitar over. We'll figure it out. And we put it into Guitar Rig, but the problem is, I mean, you can make it sound acceptable, but the problem is you sit there tweaking for so much longer than you would if you just took the amp and were like, okay, here's my AKG Performance 400 mic, here's my amp, and send it into the interface. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, the thing is that a modeler is not going to offer the same, like, actual, like, sound levels, like SPL. Like, you're.
Well, no, I'm aware of that, but I'm saying in, like, if it's a push-to-come situation, you don't have a lot of money, you're stuck in that situation, that makes sense. But what I'm surprised by is the number of guitarists who seem to have an amp.
Well, I mean, like, that's just because everybody and their mom plays guitar. I mean, I'm serious. My mom can play guitar, and his mom can play guitar, and your mom can play guitar.
Well, yeah, I guess that's the difference between somebody like, I have a full 88-key workstation,
yeah,
but that's because I've been playing piano for like 14 years.
Yeah, but
versus somebody with a microchord who's just like, I have a keyboard. So that does make sense then. Yeah.
They're also in a noise band in Lower Manhattan, and they're the shit. Anyways, no, like, the best way you're going to do that is, like I said, EQing and stuff like that. And what tone, just really think about what you're trying to go for. If you're just trying to get, like, a clean, jazzy tone, you don't really need to do anything besides just, like,
neck
EQ,
pickup, little EQ.
Yeah, a little EQ, maybe normalize it. Really, like, try to raise the levels by limiting and normalizing that signal-to-noise ratio so you get a louder perceived sound. Pretty much it, dude.
Cool. All right, question 2. If I use a high-quality plug-in compressor such as Waves or UAD and record or print the compressed output to my track, does it give me the same bit depth, i.e. quality, that I would receive from an analog compressor positioned before the input? I'm weighing the option of buying a nice analog compressor, but I'm happy with the compression I'm getting using different plugins. As such, I'm trying to see what distinct advantages, if any, there are to having an outboard compressor whose primary function would be to transparently produce consistent levels when I'm tracking. Thanks, guys. Looking forward to the next episode, and I hope you keep it going. Peace, Rich.
You're dealing with a whole mess of theory issues.
I think there's a kind of easy answer, though. It just depends on the bit depth of the compressor plugin that he's using. In the end, he's not going to get anything higher than what the bit depth on that compressor is.
See, all right. Like, I talked about this and touched on it a little bit before, like last time we talked about dither and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right. So remember when we talked about why dither is there? It's adding noise, so the bits crunch the noise, so you get better frequencies and response. Same sort of relationship, and it's kind of a natural dither response as you take something to a compressor, your noise because it's going to be noisy going out, there's going to be noise coming back in. You're actually taking away, and you're inadvertently dithering your audio when you do that. It has an advantage. There's also an advantage to actual circuit response if you buy a nice compressor that just sounds very overall warmer. You know what I mean? Plugins do a great job modeling at it, and trust me, I've had to use a lot of plug-in compressors, a lot. But you know, if you're really like all about them, just use them. It's cool. If you're getting a good sound out of them, it's cool. If you want, I recommend getting at least one normal compressor because they just sound different than the digital ones.
Especially in the difference between pre and post.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
It's a huge difference.
Yeah,
So.
there is.
Thanks a lot, Britton. And if you have any questions you want to send to us, feel free to email us at crosstalk@gearwire.com. You can send criticism, complaints, questions, concerns, and general gear problems. Again, I'm Bill Holland. This has been Britton Weatherald and Henry Bianco, and we'll be back in another 2 weeks with the next Crosstalk.
Woof.